Hello, everybody. I am going to talk about activity 6.3.1, the ACE quiz assignment for Child Development Psychology semester 1 class. So for this assignment, it asks you to write about how ACEs can impact student learning in the classroom. And they want you to answer that with at least 2 complete sentences. Then for this assignment, they want you to give 2 examples for what you can do to help children in the classroom using at least 1 sentence per example. And then need to comment on 2 classmates' posts, connecting to what they wrote, and making sure that you're being respectful and helpful in those comments. So the first thing that I want to discuss with this assignment is an ACE. What is an ACE? And so what it is it's different types of abuse, neglect, or other hallmarks of a rough childhood. And they're broken up into different categories, which I'll get into in the next couple slides. And it looks at someone's score with that. And then what ACE stands for is adverse childhood experiences. And they've done lots of research with this, looking at what can impact a student and a person and that sort of stuff. And they looked at these, and kids who have a higher score from this quiz are more likely to have health problems in the future, a higher risk for health problems in the future. But what's important to realize is that this is just a guidance. It's something to look at. It's not end all, meets all. It's just one of those things where this is a gauge. This is something that can be useful. And then also with the ACE scores, it doesn't take into account any of the positive experiences that children have in their early life. And we know that those positive experiences are very, very helpful, and they help combat some of this stuff that kids go through that might be rough. And so it doesn't take into account those positive experiences, which could also help the child build some resiliency and help protect them maybe from some of the effects of trauma they might face with some of the abuse and neglect that they might have gone through in their childhood. So that's just a definition of ACE. That's what an ACE is. So when you're looking at the assignment and it has you talk about what's the impact of ACEs in the classroom, this is what it's looking at. It's wanting to know what is the impact of a child coming into your classroom with a high ACE score of abuse, neglect, or any other rough childhood experiences. So I want to show you guys this picture where these are the different types of ACEs, and they have put them into different categories. So you have the different types of abuse off to the left: physical, emotional, sexual abuse. Then neglect in the middle, and that's broken down into physical neglect and emotional neglect. And then just some household dysfunctional stuff that might be going on, which might be mental illness. It could be parents incarcerated. It could be that the mother's treated violently, substance abuse in the home, or divorce. And so these are the different types of ACEs that are being measured by the ACE quiz. And so the assignment wants you to look at what is the impact of a student coming into your classroom with ACEs. And so when we look at the impact, it could be that the child's basic needs aren't being met. And so they aren't going to be able to focus, be able to study because maybe they didn't have food that morning. It could be that they're going through a huge life change stressor with their parents getting divorced, and they're thinking about that. They don't know where they're going to be each night, and so that's going to influence how they do on a test, that sort of thing. It could be that the child is being physically abused at home, and so the child comes in with maybe some anger issues, or when they get angry, they just decide to hit somebody because that's what they see and that's what they think is okay. So all of those are examples of how an ACE can affect a child in the classroom, and maybe some things that you might see from the child. This is another graph visual that kind of shows and breaks it down a little bit more. So more of the behavior that they might see, physical and mental health. So some of these are some of the outcomes they see of people with high ACE scores then having these sorts of health issues later on in life. But what's important to remember is that this isn't saying if a person has a high ACE score, they're going to develop one of these behaviors or one of these health issues. It is just something to look at and something to be aware of that could be a measure. So the second part of the assignment asks you ways to help in the classroom. And so some things to think about are, how can I help a student when they come into my classroom that might have a high ACE score? And so one is building that support system, building that relationship with the student. We know that positive, good, healthy relationships are going to help students be successful and build that resiliency. And so just showing that you care, asking them how they are doing, those sorts of things, supporting them when you see them down, is really, really important. Then also the curriculum, thinking about what kind of curriculum do you have in the classroom, and making sure that it is has high standards. It is something that is relatable to the students. It gives them some choice as well, and that it is something that they understand and that they can ask questions. And so looking at, is that curriculum really interactive? Are they going to actually get something for it, and that's going to help them as well? As a teacher, having knowledge about different things that students are going through. Knowing that if they're going through this, what are some outcomes, that sort of thing. So reading up on it, understanding, looking up information, talking to people, those sorts of things. And then figuring out some outside resources that could be helpful for the student and creating that safety net for them. Helping them develop a growth mindset as well is really important. So thinking about maybe different activities, different things that you can talk about, showing the children what growth mindset means, those sorts of things. And then having connections and mentoring with their peers, helping them develop those relationships, giving them somebody to look up to, or if they're really good in math, having them help somebody else, those sorts of things, having them feel connected to their learning environment. So when you go through and you answer this assignment, it's really important to understand what is an ACE. So that's what this first part of this video is, and you can go back and kind of look at that and look at the visual there. And then the next part is, how can that influence the classroom? And I gave you guys some ideas there. And then, okay, this is how it can be influenced. What can I do to help in the classroom? And that's what this last slide is about. So I hope this helps, and let me know if you have any questions.